What if I told you that your brain is working against you every time you try to lose fat? Sounds crazy, right? But here's the kicker. It's the truth. That insatiable hunger, those out-of-control cravings, and the endless cycle of dieting without results, they're not your fault. It all comes down to one tiny part of your brain called the hypothalamus. This hidden operator controls almost everything: your hunger, your cravings, and even how many calories you burn. But it wasn't designed to help you get lean. In fact, it's hardwired to do the opposite. Why? Because your body still thinks you're living in an ancient world where starvation was the biggest threat to survival. The result? Your brain fights tooth and nail to keep your fat stores intact, no matter how hard you try to shed them. But here's the twist. What if you could outsmart it? Imagine transforming your fat loss journey into something effortless, a process where hunger doesn't sabotage you, cravings don't control you, and your metabolism actually works in your favor. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? The good news is, it's entirely possible. By understanding the secret weapons your hypothalamus uses and learning how to turn them against it, you can burn fat faster than ever before. And the best part, you don't need gimmicks, extreme diets, or endless cardio. All you need is a strategy, a few science-backed tweaks, and the willingness to work smarter, not harder. This isn't just about losing weight. It's about taking control of your brain and making the journey yours. Ready to uncover the secrets that will finally make fat loss feel simple? Let's dive in. And trust me, you'll never think about hunger the same way again. When was the last time you thought about how your brain controls your appetite? Probably never, right? But here's the thing, your hypothalamus, this tiny almond-sized piece of your brain, is the mastermind behind your hunger, cravings, and even how many calories you burn daily. Fascinating, isn't it? What's even crazier is how it's like an overprotective grandma, clinging to those precious fat reserves because she thinks there's a famine just around the corner. This isn't paranoia, it's evolution. A survival mechanism from 500 million years ago is running your metabolism today. That's why losing fat often feels like an uphill battle. It's not just you, it's your grandma. I mean, your hypothalamus. Let me hit you with a real-world example. Scientists have done radical experiments on rats by modifying different parts of their hypothalamus. Damage one area, and the poor things binge until they physically can't eat anymore. Damage another, and they literally starve to death even when food is piled up in front of them. Now think about this. Doesn't your own behavior around food sometimes feel like it's out of your hands? That's your brain at work, balancing extremes to make sure you survive, even if that means packing on the extra pounds in case of a famine that never comes. It's like carrying an old owner's manual for a machine you no longer use. But there's good news. What if I told you that you could actually outsmart this ancient survival system? Yup, while you can't shut it down, you can learn how to trick it into working with you, not against you. There are 3 weapons your hypothalamus uses to sabotage your progress: hunger, cravings, and a sneaky metabolism slowdown. Once you know how to navigate these, burning fat becomes so much easier. Ready to tackle the first weapon? Hunger. Let's dive in. Hunger is the first weapon your hypothalamus unleashes when you start dieting or trying to shed those stubborn fat layers. At first, it might seem manageable, but then, bam, out of nowhere, that just one more bite voice in your head gets louder. That's no accident. Your hypothalamus is programmed to keep you safe by making you feel like you're starving, even when you're not. Think of it as your well-meaning but overly concerned grandma, constantly pushing that second helping onto your plate. This trick, it's your brain's way of holding onto those fat reserves like they're a life raft in the middle of the ocean. Neat, huh? But also kind of annoying. Fortunately, there are ways to hack this system. One of the most effective tools you have against hunger is protein, a nutrient that doesn't just help you build muscle, but also keeps you feeling full for longer. Studies have shown that increasing protein intake can naturally curb your appetite. In fact, doubling your protein consumption has been linked to automatically reducing caloric intake by an average of 440 calories a day. That's like skipping an entire meal without even realizing it. Imagine eating a meal with 30 grams of protein, like grilled chicken breast or a hefty portion of lentils, and actually feeling satisfied instead of craving desserts 15 minutes later. Magic? Not quite, just good science. But protein isn't the only trick up your sleeve. High fiber, low-calorie foods like fruits, veggies, and even popcorn are your secret weapons. These bulky foods stretch your stomach, sending "I'm full" signals straight to your hypothalamus without packing in extra calories. Think about this. A mere handful of potato chips might clock in at the same calories as a massive bowl of air-popped popcorn, but only one of these will leave you feeling satisfied. Now imagine swapping half your rice for sautéed broccoli or adding peas to bulk up your meal. It's not just filling, it's a calorie-saving ninja move. Hunger doesn't stand a chance, but hunger is only the start. Your hypothalamus has more tricks up its sleeve. You know that feeling. You've just finished dinner and you're stuffed, but 20 minutes later, you're standing in front of the fridge, staring blankly, looking for something. That's not hunger. That's your hypothalamus playing mind games with you. It's using cravings as another weapon to keep those precious energy reserves, a fat, intact. What's worse, the modern environment we live in makes it even harder to resist. Picture this, a candy jar on your office desk. Studies show that when candy is placed in a visible, easily accessible jar, people eat twice as much compared to when it's stored far away or out of sight. Your environment matters more than you think. But it's not just visibility that fuels those cravings. Stress and lack of sleep amplify the problem tenfold. Ever notice how, after a rough day or a sleepless night, you're practically a magnet for junk food? That's because stress ramps up hunger hormones like ghrelin, while sleep deprivation messes with your fullness hormones, making you feel less satisfied and more tempted to overindulge. Think about it. Your hypothalamus is responding to what it perceives as a potential crisis, whether it's stress from work or the lack of sleep. Turning your grandma-like hypothalamus into the Hulk, you're wired to crave comfort foods that provide quick energy. The good news, you can fight back. So, what's the plan? First, don't let trigger foods into your home. If they're not there, they can't tempt you. It's as simple as that. Second, when stress or cravings hit, distract your brain. A quick 10-minute walk does wonders for lowering stress and resetting focus. And let's not forget the power of good old-fashioned sleep. Even adding 1 extra hour of snooze time can seriously curb those cravings by calming your overeager hypothalamus. In the end, cravings might feel impossible to control. But with the right strategies, they're just another puzzle piece you can learn to master. Speaking of control, let's talk about your sneaky metabolism next. It might just be working against you. Your metabolism is sneaky. At first, dieting seems to work. You're losing fat, feeling great, and then suddenly progress screeches to a halt. Sound familiar? That's your hypothalamus quietly working against you. When it senses you're losing weight, it doesn't just ramp up hunger, it slows your calorie-burning engine. This isn't laziness, it's a survival tactic that's been hardwired into your brain for millions of years. Your body becomes more efficient, burning fewer calories with every move you make, which might explain why you suddenly feel less motivated to hit the gym or even stand instead of sit. But here's where things get interesting. There's a hidden calorie burner you're probably overlooking: NEAT. It stands for Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis, which is just a fancy way of saying all the daily movement you usually don't pay attention to. Walking, standing, fidgeting, pacing. What's wild is that NEAT can burn way more calories than your workouts. Research shows that between two people of the same size, NEAT can vary by as much as 2,000 calories per day. That's like going for a 3-hour jog without even hitting the pavement. Think about it. Simply walking instead of sitting or taking the stairs instead of the elevator could be the game changer you're missing. Now, how do you boost this invisible calorie-burning machine? Start by walking regularly. 2 30-minute strolls a day can easily rack up 5,000 to 6,000 steps. Add in little actions like standing during phone calls or pacing while waiting for your coffee to brew, and you'll see your NEAT skyrocket. For an extra kick, tack on 10 to 20 minutes of light cardio after your workout. This not only burns calories, but also helps undo the sluggishness your hypothalamus is trying to enforce. Movement isn't just key, it's your strongest ally. And if you pair this with strength training, you'll see just how powerful your body can become. Let's set the record straight. Shedding pounds isn't just about losing fat, it's about holding onto the muscle you already have. And that's where strength training comes in. When you start cutting calories, your body faces a dilemma. Should it burn fat for energy or start breaking down muscle? Without the right signals, your brain often chooses the path of least resistance, sacrificing lean muscle before it touches those fat stores. But here's the magic of strength training. It flips the switch. Exercises like squats, pull-ups, and rows send a loud and clear message to your brain. keep the muscle, burn the fat. It's like upgrading the software for your metabolism. Now, you might be thinking, do I need to lift weights every day? Absolutely not. The beauty of strength training is that just 2 or 3 well-structured sessions per week are enough to see results. Imagine spending 45 minutes doing a few compound movements like deadlifts and bench presses, paired with some bodyweight exercises, and walking out of the gym knowing you've done the most effective work possible. The bonus? Strength training doesn't just burn calories during the session. It turns your body into a calorie-burning furnace for hours afterward. So it's a win-win situation. You're building strength and boosting metabolism. Still not convinced? Let me put it this way. If all you do is cardio, you might be setting yourself up for an uphill battle. Sure, you'll burn calories, but you'll also risk losing muscle along the way, and that's a recipe for bouncing back to square one. Strength training is the key to sustainable fat loss because it protects the one thing that helps keep your metabolism humming. And when you combine it with a calorie deficit and movement throughout the day, you've got a triple threat. When it comes to fat loss, the most common mistake people make is trying to overhaul their lives overnight. Crash diets and extreme workouts may seem like the fastest route, but they often lead you right back to where you started, or worse. The truth is, your brain and body thrive on consistency, not chaos. That's why a sustainable approach centered around a moderate calorie deficit of 300 to 700 calories per day is your golden ticket. Think of it like playing the long game. Losing 0.5 to 1.5 pounds per week might not sound dramatic, but it adds up, and more importantly, it's maintainable. Imagine trimming down consistently, without the frustration of constant hunger or the burnout from overly restrictive dieting. So, what does sustainability look like in real life? It starts with prioritizing foods that keep you full. High-protein meals packed with things like chicken, fish, or tofu paired with high-fiber foods, think fruits, veggies, or legumes, are a slam dunk for both your hunger and your progress. For instance, replacing calorie-dense options like pasta with zucchini noodles or swapping half of your rice with broccoli instantly cuts calories while keeping you satisfied. And let's not forget about treats. Instead of eliminating them entirely, find smarter alternatives, like a sugar-free Greek yogurt dessert that feels indulgent without blowing your deficit goals. A smart diet isn't about suffering. It's about working with your brain, not fighting against it. But food is only half the battle. Pair your smart eating habits with simple movement. Walking or adding a few light cardio sessions complements your calorie deficit beautifully, without wearing you out. Strength training, it's the glue that ties it all together. Sparing muscle and keeping your metabolism active, the beauty is, you don't need a complicated plan. By mastering the basics and introducing gradual changes, you'll find fat loss not only achievable, but also freeing. Ready to see how real-world transformations unfold? Let's dive into some examples of people who made these strategies their own. Let's talk about real people, because hearing about studies is one thing, but seeing real-world transformations, that's where it clicks. Take Dayton, for example. He started out like most, frustrated with stalled fat loss, convinced his cravings and slow metabolism were just part of his genetics. Instead of diving into crash diets, he made small, sustainable changes, using the Built with Science app. He followed a manageable calorie deficit and added basic strength training to his routine. The results? Over 150 days, he lost 26 pounds of fat and managed to gain 7 pounds of lean muscle. His secret wasn't magic. It was sticking to consistent, science-backed strategies that didn't overwhelm him. Now let's meet Namish, another example of persistence paying off. For years, he believed he was genetically cursed to carry excess body fat. But what changed everything for him were nutrient swaps. By replacing calorie-dense comfort foods with higher volume alternatives, like swapping soda for sparkling water or chips for popcorn, he tricked his hypothalamus into feeling full while staying caloric conscious. Pairing that with regular walks and 2 quick strength training sessions per week, he stripped away layers of stubborn fat he thought he'd never lose. His journey is proof that even small tweaks, done consistently, carry big rewards over time. The best part? These aren't isolated cases. This could be your story too. No one is immune to hunger, cravings, or a slowing metabolism. But they're beatable with the right habits. The trick is understanding that progress isn't about eliminating cravings or destroying hunger, it's about managing them. Even setbacks are signs you're on the right track because they show your body is responding. Your hypothalamus isn't your enemy. It's just an overly cautious protector, stuck in ancient survival mode. Think of this whole fat loss journey as a stealth mission. The key to success is sneaking under the radar, making small, consistent changes that your brain won't interpret as a threat. This means embracing gradual fat loss, prioritizing foods that satisfy, and movements that make sense for your lifestyle. It's about tricking your hypothalamus into letting its guard down so you can make steady progress without the constant battle of hunger, cravings, and a slowing metabolism. Start with the basics. Add more protein to your meals. Swap out calorie-dense snacks for high-volume foods, and keep yourself moving throughout the day. These aren't drastic sacrifices. They're manageable tweaks that don't feel like punishment. And remember, fat loss isn't about being perfect, but about staying consistent. Celebrating progress even when it's small, and making this process something you can maintain for life. After all, what good is losing the weight if you can't keep it off? To know your body's signals is to master them, and that's where the magic lies. If you've ever felt like fat loss wasn't meant for you, it's time to flip the script. Your brain might still think you're in the Stone Age, but your actions are in your hands. Now that you know the truth about your hypothalamus and its sneaky tricks, the real question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Will you let hunger and cravings keep sabotaging your goals? Or will you finally take control, leveraging what your brain was designed to do and turning it into your greatest ally? This is your moment to change the narrative. Your fat loss journey doesn't have to be about endless battles. It can be about working smarter with strategies that actually make sense for your mind and body. You've got the tools now. So, start small. Swap that calorie-dense snack for a high-protein option. Go for a quick walk when stress hits, and remember that your hypothalamus doesn't define your destiny. Each step forward, even the tiny ones, is a step closer to breaking free from the cycle and reaching your goals. And think about it. How would it feel to look in the mirror in a few months and see the progress you've been chasing for years? That's what's waiting for you on the other side of consistency and focus. But here's the catch. This is just the beginning. If you found value in these insights, imagine how much more you'll gain by staying on this journey with us. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and let's keep building your success together. The next step is just around the corner. Will you take it?